All right, guys, we're now back and we'll learn more in this video of the next steps to practical problem solving. Okay, we previously in another video we discussed about the step 4, which is analyzing the root cause. Now, if you haven't watched it, please do so you'll get a better appreciation of the next video that we'll discuss. So the next step to problem solving is developing step 5. We develop our countermeasures. Okay. Well, a proper root cause analysis usually will point to the action needed, or at least point us in a very good direction, no? So for example, one of the issues the alpha team discovered during their root cause analysis was that new employees often create defects because of lack of training, no? So in this case, the alpha team must develop countermeasures to deal with this particular issue. And here I emphasize the word countermeasure since we use this term instead of solution. Now, at, why is this important? Well, a solution typically implies finality and an end to the process of discovery and correction. Whereas within PDCA, or continuous improvement in general, there's never an ending to the journey, no? So when we do problem solving, we're implementing countermeasures to make positive changes to an existing root cause. Okay. But guys, this condition isn't perfect just yet, and never will be, probably, since this is same problem might occur again, meaning it wasn't solved. However, if the original countermeasure was successful, this problem will not reappear for the same root cause since it's been countered. Okay, we start first with learning about brainstorming. Okay, so in some cases, you and your team may need to complete a brainstorming session in order to develop detailed countermeasures. Now, there is really a proper way to facilitate a brainstorming session, since if it's done poorly, they can be counterproductive. Well, to start with, we suggest using flip charts, and then the person facilitating the session will write the problem statement at the top of the sheet, for example, and then while also numbering the sheet at the top of the page. And then after this, the facilitator will ask the person on the team to present an idea. And at this point, I would like to emphasize that there shouldn't be any discussion. Okay. In other words, there's no debating or elaborating of points allowed at the stage. Okay. Instead, the facilitator will write exactly what the person says. Take note of the word exactly. Okay. You'll notice why I didn't say the facilitator will paraphrase what the person said, since paraphrasing is very dangerous during a brainstorming session. Okay. Since ideas are often tweaked and perceived differently than the person offering the idea desired. Okay. All right. Okay. So once a team seems to have exhausted their ideas, then it's time to discuss the list in order to better understand what someone meant. So after this brief discussion, teams will often have additional ideas, and the process can continue until there are no more ideas. And then lastly, one other tip for us, every one of us, to note is to never make a particular idea stand out for the rest of the ideas by bolding it or underlining it. Okay. You see, this can make others feel as if their ideas are not good, essentially shutting them down for the rest of the session. All right. Now we talk about the next section, which is selecting countermeasures. What about this? Now, once you and your team have a list have already a list of ideas, it's time to select the countermeasures to start with. Uh, there are a number of different ways to go about this. For example, we can use the N/3 technique, as we'll probably cover in another video. Another powerful tool that can also be used to select the countermeasures to start with is called an impact slash effort grade. Now, what about this? This is actually a tool where we ask ourselves how much effort will be required to implement the countermeasure as well as its predicted impact. Then, as an example, if we predict a countermeasure will be high effort with low impact, this might suggest we look at another idea. The best scenario occurs when there is a countermeasure that will be high effort, that will require low effort to implement while returning a high impact. Okay, a slight variation to this matrix occurs when we replace effort with cost, turning it into a cost slash impact matrix. All right. Apparently, many organizations use both versions to help them select the best way forward. Now we go over what about set-based countermeasures. Now then, what we've been discussing is how to narrow down your list of countermeasures. And um, probably at this point, I'd like to qualify one thing, namely that our goal within the practical problem solving methodology is to actually explore as many countermeasures as possible at the same time. Now, this concept apparently is actually referred to as set-based countermeasures and is modeled after the principles of set-based concurrent engineering. Okay, let's dive deeper. See, in traditional problem-solving approaches, a team may narrow things down to one countermeasure. And then they set off to implement this countermeasure with sincere hope it works. Now, when we compare this to the set-based countermeasures approach, there are many benefits really to taking a set-based countermeasure approach, such as the fact that it builds consensus rather than having team members promote or defend their favorite solutions, no? Also, it fosters dialogue and responsibility for understanding the problem more deeply while preventing decisions from being made too quickly. Okay, and now that we're done discussing about the fifth step, we go over to the next step. How about seeing our countermeasures through? Um, as we move to implement our countermeasures, really, it's extremely important to always work as a team. Okay, just like you wouldn't scale a steep mountain without a climbing partner, we should never really attempt to implement countermeasures alone. Okay. Next, as we learn to about discussing set-based countermeasures, it's also important to try many ideas while seeing countermeasures through. Some actually refer to this as try storming, and apparently, what it means is while it's good to talk about things, it's usually better to try ideas out to see how they work. Okay. Now, as we enter into the do phase of the PDA cycle, by the way, if you haven't watched the video, so you can have a more appreciation of the PDA cycle, please do so. Uh, and that's presented already in another video. Okay. And this is exactly what we're doing as in the do phase as we see the countermeasures through. We're going to pick up the pace, okay? Specifically, we're going to implement our countermeasures quickly as a team or teams, assuming we've decided to follow the set-based countermeasures approach. And while we're doing this, we'll seek the help of and probably ideas of many people throughout the organization, while also communicating our status on a regular basis. So all team members and impacted associates also understand where we're at, okay? And much like we discussed earlier on, during this step of the process. We'll continue to turn the PDCA cycle again and again as we work to implement our countermeasures and most importantly, working to understand why some countermeasures don't always work as we hope they would. And okay, and then lastly, Another quote that I would like to emphasize from Sir Winston Churchill, who in his famous 1941 speech to the Harrow School implored his nation to never, never, never give up. All right. And so it is with us as we work to see our countermeasures through, will no doubt hit obstacles and resistance to change. Okay. But if we take the stance that quitting is not an option, really, then we'll have the courage and conviction to see things through, no matter how hard the situation is. Okay. um okay, we'll pause for that for a moment. All right, we will have a time check quickly. Okay, I think we've already had enough time, at least for this video. We'll soon enough we'll have the next steps being discussed. Okay, but for now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below, and hit the notification bell as well so you get notified of important learning updates. Okay, thank you very much, and bye for now.